We've talked about, how protecting the most vulnerable in our community should be our standard. Our community is not resilient until the most vulnerable of us is resilient, and it's not informed until the most vulnerable of us are informed. So it's really important to me that as we tell you what our priorities are, that we consider our special needs community, of course, and transportation to places like the resiliency hubs, and making sure that our elderly and all those that rely on bus transportation have access. So is there any, can we make sure that those entities or organizations that support those groups are part of the stakeholder process?
Yes, Councilwoman. That's our intent to be as inclusive as possible.
And so I know we've talked a little bit about maybe partnering with VIA to provide transportation for our seniors, for special needs, and those that maybe use VIA Trans. Have we started those discussions, or?
Yes, Councilman, VIA is one of the partners that we have. Every time there's an emergency or a special event, we know that we can rely on them to provide us with that transportation, so yes.
Okay, and I know during the winter storm, but even before that and since then, we had it became very apparent our food insecurity issues in our community. Have we talked about food accessibility? Is that part of the planning or the process?
It'll be a part of the process, as you said, those priorities, and if that is one of those priorities that we will address. Now, for purposes of when we have emergencies, the food bank is typically the partner that we speak to, and they have always been ready to provide us with assistance during emergencies.
I recall in the beginning of the pandemic, they were having some trouble, and we, I think many of us here even gave of our own CCPF monies to help fund the food bank. So I want to make sure that we have, do we have some kind of reserve fund just in case food bank needs that support?
Typically, Councilman, during an emergency, if it's declared by the federal government, we get FEMA funds to be able to reimburse for services. So that is what we typically do. If that is not the case, then that is something that through the city manager will bring recommendations to the council.
Okay, and then of course, even before there's an emergency, helping CPS and SAWS to get out, and our own city programs to get word out about how people can reinforce or renovate really their homes, making sure that they're weather resistant, and all the resiliency of a home that's needed that some people can't always afford. So if there's any opportunity during this process to make sure that we're getting information out to the community as well on those programs, I think that would be helpful. Okay, thank you, Maria. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Cabello Havrda. Councilmember Rocha Garcia.